Let's get our scene ready for the project. You'll be able to find this scene in the My Data folder, and it's called pull_start. Alright, so we can now focus in on our perspective view, and the first things first, what we're going to do is change a few things in our animation preferences. So let's go there, and we could get there a little bit faster by selecting this icon at the right hand corner of the screen, at the bottom right corner, and here they are. Let's also restore our settings to default, just so that your settings are going to match mine. Okay, and we'll work our way starting from the settings category and just work our way down. So in the settings category, we just want to make sure time is set to film 24 frames per second. And once it is, we're going to move down to our next category, which is the animation category right underneath. And here, we're going to change a few things. What we're going to do is change both our default in and out tangency. And our default in, let's change that to linear. Our default out will change to stepped. And why are we doing this? Well, this is so we can achieve the pose to pose method of animation, where we first block out our actions, okay, and also get the timing down roughly of when we want those actions to occur. And once we're satisfied with that, pretty much, then we'll go back and begin finalizing our animation by smoothing out our tangency to prepare it all the way to our end result or end product. Okay, so I do highly recommend that we use the use the linear and step technique when initially starting your animation, as it's going to be really helpful for, again, posing out and getting the timing down of your animation. Okay, and later on we will be switching our default in and out tangency to a smooth tangency. Okay, so our next category, our last actually, it's going to be the timeline category. And once we're here, what we want to do is change the playback speed to real time 24 frames per second. So that will be set. And once all of these things are set, we can now hit save to save all of our preferences. Great. Our next task is going to be to change a few things on our play blast options. So we can go to window, play blast, and check out the options. There it is. And let's even reset these settings, again for the same reason that we did in our preferences, and we'll work our way down starting from the top. So the time range, we can leave that checked to time slider, that's fine. So whatever our time slider is set to, that's the play blast we will see. Okay, next for the show ornament, let's go ahead and check that off, and that's going to hide our camera name and also this ornament at the right hand corner of the screen. Okay, so this is basically going to remove some of the clutter from our play blast, so we can just focus on what we need to, the animation. Next, for our next category, viewer, let's check on image viewer, and that's going to allow us to view our play blast in F-check, which is going to allow us to view our play blast frame by frame if we want to, and even draw in our F-check window if, let's say, we wanted to draw a certain line of action in our animation, or even an arc we're trying to achieve in the animation as well. Okay, so that's going to be really helpful. Okay, and we can now scroll down, and let's even kick up our scale size. We'll kick that up to 1 so we can see a nice detailed view of our play blast. As for save to file, I won't be saving any of our play blast, but you sure can if you'd like. Okay, so once these things are done, we can hit play blast and then hit escape immediately if we want to stop the render of our play blast. And there it is, hiding in the back. Let's go ahead and bring that forward. There you are. Okay, and once here, what we want to do is basically make sure that our frames per second count is set to 24, which it is right now. Okay, great. And if you ever wanted to change it, you could just go ahead and, put in any number like 30 frames per second, hit enter. But we want, again, 24 frames. So we'll go ahead and put that value in, and then we can close this out. Great. Now, since we'll be play blasting often, what's going to be really helpful is a mail button that's going to allow us to get to our play blast or get to a render of our play blast a lot faster rather than having to go to window and play blast all the time. So let's set that up. What we'll do is go to our script editor, let's open it up, and find the play blast line. And there it is. So we'll just go ahead and highlight it and simply middle mouse button click and drag it right to our shelf. So now if I were to minimize the script editor and select this icon, watch what happens. Great, notice the play blast is rendering, and there it is. Alright, great. So we have that set, and also just FYI, again, you can draw in your F-check window, and the way to do that is to simply hold the right mouse button, click and drag, and notice get a drawing. So if you wanted to, you could even draw a little smiley face in there. Okay. All right. Or you could actually use it for a purpose, okay, which is to draw the line of action or again a certain arc you're trying to achieve, for example. And if you ever want to remove a drawing in your F-check, make sure that you're on the frame that you drew on. Right now we're on frame 15, and we could just simply go to File, Revert. And notice that clears that frame. Excellent. So now we could close that out. And there are going to be other Play Blast options or functionalities we'll be checking out a little bit later on. Great. So once that's set, we can now go ahead and give this mail button a name so it doesn't confuse us at all. So we know exactly what it is. So we'll go to our shelf editor for that, and we could call it PLB, making sure that it is selected, which it is right now, and then simply hit enter, and there's the name. Great. So we could close that out. And our next task is going to be to basically set up two more icons right now so we can hide or show our NURBS curves. And this is also for Play Blast reasons, because when we actually do the Play Blast, we don't want any of our control curves distracting us at all. We just want to focus on the character, okay, and any other thing that is animated in our scene. So let's go to bring back our script editor. And once there, we can go ahead and go to edit and clear our history, and also check on echo all commands. And we're going to need that on so we can get the line that we'll be using, okay, to hide and show our NURBS curves. So once that's set, let's go to show and basically turn off the visibility of our NURBS curves. Just check that off. And now notice here's that line right here that we need to hide our NURBS curves. So we could go ahead and just highlight that and hit Control C to copy it, and then let's paste it right in here in our text field. Alright, great. And now we get to highlight the line again, and middle mouse button, click and drag it right to our shelf. So now we have a button to hide our NURBS curves. But what about to show? Well, all we need to do is simply change this 0 to a 1. So let's change that to on, and now we can go ahead and highlight this line, and middle mouse button, click and drag it right to our shelf. Great. So now we can close out our script editor now once we've done those things. And notice if I want to, let's say, show the NURBS curves, just select that icon and there they go. And if I want to hide them, boom, just hit this one right here. Great. And now we can go ahead and give these icons names. So again, they don't confuse us. We'll go to our shelf editor, and for this one, let's call that hid_C for hide curves, and hit enter. Then we could go to the next one down and call that viz_C to show our curves or visible curves, and hit enter. Excellent. So we can close that, and just a preference of mine, I like to have the visibility over or before the hidden. Okay, so what we can do is just over the one that we want to move, we could just middle mouse button click and drag it right on top of where we want to move to, and there it is. Just switch the order. Excellent. So let's move on to our next task now, and that's going to be to just hide this grid. We don't need it since we have a floor already. So we could get to our hotbox by holding spacebar, go to display, and select grid to hide it. Alright, to uncheck it. Great, so now that's hidden. And let's even check on auto key, and that's going to allow us to basically speed up our keying process. Okay, so once we have keys set, and when we start moving our controls around, auto key will take into effect. But we do have to have keys, and we'll set that up really shortly. But first things first, let's go ahead and show our control curves. And what I want to do is show now the mode that we'll be using. Okay, the modes that we'll be using in our animation. So for our translate mode, if we hit W on our keyboard and even hold W and then hold the left mouse button, we get to our translate options, and we'll be using the local mode for translate. So let's select that right at the top, and you'll know it's selected when you can go back and see that there is an X in the box. Okay, we'll do the same thing for our rotate mode. So we can select this wrist and hit E and even hold E on our keyboard, left mouse button click and hold, and there we go. We get to our rotate options, and again, there's local right at the top. Excellent. So the last thing we'll do is go ahead and or a few more things actually. Let's just go ahead and change our end time to frame 100, the duration of our clip, and we'll also go ahead and make sure that we have our character set on and that we set a key on frame 1. Okay, so once we have our character set selected and we hit S, notice there is a key set, and they're actually now keys on all of our control curves and all of our channels that we'll be needing to key. So with all of these things done, that does complete this lesson, and in the next lesson we'll begin posing for our animation.